How you doing, guys, and welcome to my channel. Now, if you like this kind of content and you do want to see more, please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button. Now, today I'm having a look at the Batman 1/6 scale figure from Hot Toys as played by Michael Keaton in the Flash movie. Just having a quick look at the box, you can see we have the image of Michael Keaton as Batman on the front of the box, not the figure. I do like to see the figure on the front of the boxes, but however, on the side we have the Batman written, and then on the back we have some warnings. Nothing too fantastic, nothing too fabulous, and an image under the slip cover of the Batman. And is that the figure? I can't tell if that's the figure, but that's it for the box, guys. So without further ado, I'll give him a quick pan before we get into the accessories. So let's go ahead and do that. And here I have him just in a basic pose, just to give him a pan down. You can see some of the details there and the likeness in the faceplate. And like I said, just give him a quick pan down. You can see there is a little bit of creasing in the kind of crotch area there. Not too bad though. And then down to the base. And you can see that it is lit up by LED, powered by USB, and you can see that Batman modern suit written on it there. And I will say that the base is very, very, very light. There is absolutely no weight to it whatsoever. If you blew at it, I think it would move. Literally, it is that light. Yeah, so just giving them a quick pan, and we'll just have a quick kind of close up on the faceplate there, so you can have just a little hint kind of at what he looks like. And then I suppose we'll move on to his accessories. So just taking a quick look at all of the accessories that come with the modern suit Batman, and I'm going to start off with all of these smaller accessories on the left hand side here. Some of them we've seen before and some of them are new. We have the remote control that he speaks into to control the Batmobile that we've seen before. We have his two shurikens that we've seen before. We have this device here that I don't think we've seen before, which I believe this is the device that he sticks to the back of the Kryptonian's head to dispatch him just before he meets his own demise. I think that's the device. He also has a couple of them on the back of his utility belt that we'll have a look at a bit later on. And we have this little computer here. Now this thing is tiny. It's like a BlackBerry kind of thing. I think he uses it to hack in a door somewhere in the computer in the movie. But you can see just looking at those hands there that is a very small device. And then we have this other device there that he uses, and we have his grappling hook. And then we have this little device here. I know the writing is upside down there, but it says level 11. If I turn it the other way around, you might be able to read it, but I'm not sure if you can read it or not. I'm just going to pick it up there. That makes more sense. But now I won't be able to get it focused. Just bear with me a second. Is it going to focus? Come on, help me out here. There we go. Level 11. Anybody who's seen the film knows that this is the part where I think he sticks something to the bottom of an elevator or something, and then he controls it with his gauntlet, with this piece on his gauntlet. It does magnetize to his wrist. We'll have a look at it in the photographs a bit later on. And then we have this stand here, which that sculpt goes onto. We'll get into that in a minute. But I just want to look at the hands. And he does have two closed fists on the figure as well. And we have these really tactical looking gloves, molded really, really well. Different textures on them, and yeah, really, really, really nicely molded. You can see if that focuses in the texture on the palm there, like he has on the 89. The whole suit, it really is an evolution of the 89. Just having a quick look at the two closed fist hands that he has on the figure itself there. So he does have, you know, three sets of hands, and they are all, you know, different gestures, as you can see. But we have his three Batarangs there as well, and his two of his faceplates and one on the head sculpt as well. So just having a quick look at the stand here that it comes with, you can see it has the bat symbol on it there. and this empty cowl just sits on it. I'm not really sure why we got this. It can't be used for anything other than displaying it as an empty cowl because of the emblem on the chest of it. There is also an emblem on the chest of the figure as well, so you can't exactly put the unmasked sculpt on and have him holding this because he'll have two emblems on show then. So it's not really, I don't know really why we got it. It doesn't really make sense to add this for any other purpose than just displaying an empty cowl. It's pointless really. Just having a look at this sculpt here, these parts here are quite flimsy. They're very, very flimsy. I would assume they are that flimsy for a reason. If you leave them sitting in the wrong position for too long, I would say they would stay that way, but I'm sure there's a reason why they're that flimsy. They're not flimsy on the other ones. But just having a quick look at the other faceplate, the smiling faceplate real quick, I would have liked to have seen a bloody faceplate just like in the end of the movie where he has the blood on the side of his face. But like I said, you will notice there is no bat emblem on that cowl, so you can't put that cowl on the body and maybe show it as an empty suit or anything like that because of the emblem that's on it. So I'm really baffled as to why we've gotten that piece. There is another accessory that I'll get into a bit later on, a little accessory that I'll get into a bit later on. But we'll get on to the next stage, or the next step anyway. And the alternate cape that he has, I beg your pardon, I forgot about that. Just take it out of the packaging there. This is the gliding modes cape that comes with him. If I just pull this camera back a little bit, this is the one for gliding, and you can see there it is on a mechanism there on these bars. There's some Velcro on it there, and there's a wire that runs all the way down the length of it. So basically, if you pull it open, that is quite tight, and that plastic on it is quite flimsy. But if you pull it out like so, it stretches the cape out. That's not gonna get into frame, guys. I cannot get that into frame, as you can see there. Struggling. That is going to take up a lot of space. If you have space in your display for putting that out, I really do recommend it because it looks really well. We'll have a look at it a bit more later on. But it does look really, really well. Just pulled out like that. As you can see, it's pulled tight, but it is absolutely massive and takes up a lot of space. But we will get into putting that on the body a bit later on. So here we have him pretty much straight up as he comes out of the box, with the exception of the cowl sculpt. He actually comes in the box with the unmasked sculpt on him. But before we get into the details of him, we're just going to have a look at this god-awful cape that he comes with. As you can see as I turn it around there, it is just like somebody threw a bin bag over his shoulders. It really is like somebody threw a bin bag over his shoulders. It is god-awful. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ribs in it, and every single rib has a wire in it. And it's just does not cooperate whatsoever. It's a really, really thin material. Like, it is, almost plastic bag kind of thin. It really does look like somebody threw a bin bag over his shoulders. It is atrocious. But it's typical Hot Toys Batman triangular shaped warped doll-like cape. I would assume that somebody like Jackson Zoo is in the process of making an aftermarket cape for this. Fingers crossed, because it is absolutely needed, and another drape cape for this guy is absolutely needed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cape off so that we get a good look at the suit, because the cape is going to get in the way. So we're just going to take the cape off and we'll have a look. Oh, just something else I want to point out real quickly as well, guys, is getting the cape on and off isn't the easiest thing. No, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's there's a bit of a nuisance to it, because you can see here there's just a little bit of Velcro just here, and on this part on the back of it there, on the back of the bat bib as they're calling it, it goes on. But trying to slide it down like that and not catch the Velcro, it's just it's not possible. It's literally impossible to do. So what I found the easiest way of doing it is just get a piece of paper, slide it down the front first, if I can get it to cooperate with me this time, and just get the cape, push it into place. As you can see, a bit difficult to do while holding them the way I'm holding them. There we go. And then just pull the tape out, or the paper out, should I say. And then you have the cape in position, down as far as it needs to go, you know. So anyway, there you go. That's the best method I found for getting the cape off. And here we have him capeless, just so we can get a better look at him, you know, and get a bit closer in on the details without any impingements of the cape. So let's have a look at his boots, and you can see that they are a split boot design. Anybody who's seen any of my previous videos knows that I'm not a big fan of the split boot design, but this little part here that lips up at the front or comes up at the front really does hide that split. So it is a fairly decent job of hiding the split. It's just at the sides really where it's exposed, and if you articulate it too much, you can see that we do get a bit of a gap there. But yeah, it's not too bad, but I would really like to see the technology advance to the point where we don't get ankle joints, and I do believe it's possible. I really do. But the boots are fairly accurate to the movie, but overall you can really see the evolution from the original 89, 92, and these boots. I mean, it's such an even, they're so close but so modernized to those, you know, to the old boots. It's just it's a really, really nice design and upgrade and modernization of his original 89 boots and suit overall. No weathering, nothing at all on them, not necessarily. Just having a quick look at the sole of them, I mean, you see that the grip is molded really, really well, and we have some text on the sole there, and the same on the other side. We have some text there, if I can get that to focus. And then moving up, we have his knee pads. Now they are velcroed on, aren't they? Yeah, they are velcroed on, which is nice. It's handy. We won't have any deterioration of any glue. I won't take them off there. I'll just leave them where they are. Yeah, and they are, there is a relief from them, you know, on the knees. And the rubber that they've used, the material they've used for this suit is much thinner than any Batman that they've ever done before. Way more flexible, way more pliable. Even the sheen to it and the way it forms is fantastic. But you can see there is a little bit of bunching up here. When you do pose them or put them, do some articulation, there is a bit of bunching up. But I wouldn't be surprised if that happened to Keaton in the movie, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's unavoidable. But look, just looking at the form of the way the body fits in is fantastic. The little details, little subtle details up the leg, which he has in the movie. You can see, if I can just move his arm out of the way, you can see, you know, the gaps, the patches there, and the uniqueness to the design is really, really nice design. But like I said, just how that body fits in is amazing. The stitching up the leg there is a little bit obvious, a little bit more obvious than it should be. It's not a deal breaker. It's not the best stitching I've ever seen, but it is acceptable. But the stitching gets a little bit worse a bit further on. Then we have his utility belts, completely movie accurate. Finally, Batman gets an actual black tactical belt, you know, a long time coming. As far as I know, I don't believe any other iteration anyway has gotten one. Some smoke grenades on the front of it, and then moving around to the back, we have two more of those devices that are attached to his belt that he used to dispatch the Kryptonian at the end. So moving around, we'll just have a look at the torso area here. You can see that he has all those intricate details, the subtle little you know, little lines to it and the separations, and just moving the body. The suit is flexible. The suit is very nice, very very flexible. I can't get over how nice it is, but there is still rigidity to it. You know, there's no real torso. Um, there's no real torso movements, but that's typical of any Batman figure, really. Just moving up to his arms, you can see his gauntlets are movie accurate. If I can get it to focus, there we go. We have his movie accurate gauntlets there, and his tactical gloves on him there, and the blades on it there. These things here are plastic. They're not rubber like one of the recent Batmans, the 22 Batman, but they are glued on a strip. Unlike any other Batman that I've seen before, they are all on a strip glued in. I don't know if that helps with, you know, preventing them from breaking off, but you know, it is different to how any of them have been done before for Keaton, where they were glued on individually. I know the 92 Batman one were renowned for breaking off, and you can see he has these little, I don't know, tubings on the gauntlet. I'm not really sure what they're for, to be honest. And he does that magnetized piece, it just at the top of the gauntlet there. There's a magnet for sticking that level 11 piece onto. And then moving further up the arm, you can see he has his shoulder pads there, which is exceptionally soft. That is a really really soft plastic that they've used there. I like it. Yeah, and they are on by Velcro, which is nice. You can see the shape of the arm there, the bicep and stuff as well, and the details in the suit, which is really nice. And then we have his chest plate. You can see the chest plate is on a separate piece. It's on a completely separate piece. If I was to take the head sculpt off, I think I'd be able to just pull the chest piece off as well, you know. And that removes with this piece at the back, and you have to remove this piece at the back to put the wings on. We'll get into that a bit later on when we have a look at that cape. But moving around to the back, guys, this is my real point of contention. My real issue is this stitching at the back is so stretched. Look how that is, guys. That is begging to split. That is begging to split, guys. I don't know what other people's are like. I think I've seen a couple online that looked roughly the same, to be honest with you. But if he's put in a dynamic pose where his shoulders are rolled forward or anything like that, that is over time, I'm pretty sure that is going to split that. I mean, it's begging to now. I'm not sure. It's not so bad as it goes down. You can see it's just up at the top as it gets to this area here. It's really bad. And just looking in at the arms, stitching in the arms is all tight. It's all neat. It looks really well. But again, putting him in a stretched pose, in a dynamic pose, I would be so afraid that is going to split that stitching, you know. But I can't get over how that is stitched up his back. I look, I've quite a lot of Hot Toys. I would assume the Hot Toys had no choice but to do it that way. I don't imagine they've done it that way by choice. But I fear it's going to split. And then moving up into his sculpt, I'm actually going to get it a bit more stable, and then we'll have a look at the cowl and the faceplates. So here we have the sculpt or the cowl with the relaxed facial expression, I suppose you'd call it. As you can see there, that is an absolutely fantastic likeness to Michael Keaton in the Flash movie. How his face looked in that. Just let me get a little bit more light in on those eyes, if I can get this light to cooperate. There we go. You can see inside the cowl there the depths to the eyes, the life in the eyes, the glossiness to them, the blue that Michael Keaton has in his eyes, which is completely on point. You can see a little bit of flesh in there. It's the aging of the skin, the texture of the skin on the faceplate is amazing. He's obviously not as dark in hand as he is at the minute. I have some lights blasting on him at the minute there, so we can get some good details, but you can see the cowl there as well, which is completely accurate to the movie. The subtle little differences to the original cowl, the 89. The snow piece is slightly different to the 89, and he has these little serrations up the side of the cowl, which he's never had before. And then there's this little section here as well, which is, you know, a new addition to a Keaton mask that we've never had before. And the seam line, I know there's a seam line there, but it is most definitely one of the faintest seam lines I've ever seen. And just looking at the back of the details there, we can see all of the, you know, the little subtle details and the little bends and folds in it. And the ears, guys, the rubber on the ears is extremely flimsy. Way flimsier than the recent 89 Batman that came out. It is so flimsy. If they don't bend on me and stay bent at some point, it'll be a miracle. I have the 92 Batman, which is like that, the old 92 Batman, which the ear had bent on, and this has just gone back to the other way, the really flimsy. If you were to press that head on and push down on those ears the wrong way, it's going to fold those ears, which is, yeah, I'm sure they could have done a better job than that. But just moving them back around to the front, and we will exchange his faceplate, and we'll have a look at one of the other faceplates. And we have the smiling faceplate. Personally, this is my favorite faceplate. This to me is fantastic, and it's kind of an iconic moment where he first appears in the bat suit and he smiles and he says, you know, you want to get nuts. Oh no, he says I'm Batman, doesn't he? But anyway, you know, it just shows that he's lightened up over the years a little bit. You know, he's beat all his nemesi, and yeah, he's just kind of lightened up a bit, and he is, you know, he's ready to die in this one. I think in this one he is ready to die. You know, and it just oozes of Keaton and Keaton's attitude. You know, in that role at that point. So let's have a quick look at the final one, and then we'll move on. Here we have the open mouth faceplate, and I have to say, guys, finally, Hot Toys have done a Michael Keaton open mouth that doesn't look like him trying to do the impression of a duck. This is the best Michael Keaton open mouth faceplate you were ever going to see, or thus far. It is absolutely fantastic. I would have loved to have seen this exact faceplate just de-aged and put on the old 89 one. That would have looked, you know, way better than any of the faceplates that we got on that 89, that recent 89 Batman. Something like this would have been fantastic on it, obviously de-aged. But there you go for that faceplate. So let's move on to the unmasked sculpt, and here we have it, an absolute masterpiece. Just look at the texture, something that Hot Toys excel at. I just point out that I have put the bat bib back on there and the cape back on just to show how it would look on the shelf. But as I was saying, Hot Toys, when it comes to older figures, older head sculpts like Count Dooku or this Michael Keaton, or older people, when they do those sculpts, what was it they did? Michael Keaton for the old Batman Armory. Absolutely fantastic head sculpts. When they do an older head sculpt, they hit the mark every time. There's not an angle I don't look at where I don't see Michael Keaton as Batman, or sorry, as Bruce Wayne. Look at this, the texture and the skin. Look at the lines and the creases and the aging of the skin on the neck. Look how it is. Just look up at the ears, where it's kind of sagging down a little bit, where he's starting to age, you know, the crow's feet, all the lines. It is absolutely Michael Keaton all day long. You can see the hairline there is exactly like Michael Keaton's hairline. You can see the seam line here. where you take the back off to adjust the eyes. I'll just take it off there. And there you have, and you can just see the knobs in there for moving the eyes. Not something that I'm keen on ever moving. The seam line is definitely hidden well enough. It's acceptably hidden. They've done a better job at hiding it than they did on the last Bruce Wayne figure that they brought out, which was Christian Bale with the Batman Dark Knight Rises armory. That seam line was terrible. It's not flawless seam line, don't get me wrong. I think if Hot Toys were to maybe, instead of do a straight, line like that, maybe if they were to stagger it a little bit more, I don't know. I'm sure Hot Toys do it the best they can. But I just think there is got to be a way of hiding that line a bit better. But nonetheless, it's almost at the back of the head. It's not a deal breaker. If I can just lift up his head here, guys, and just take a look at the neck. Even those lips are just perfect. Look at the neck, and the aging on the neck is absolutely fantastic. Oh, look at the lips. Are finally got perfect lips from Michael Keaton. Well, maybe the older DX09 had good lips from as well, I suppose. But that is just amazing. I know I'm going to be posing it with the cowl on, but I am going to find a way to display the sculpt. I am absolutely going to find a way to display this sculpt. But there we have it. There, that is the unmasked sculpts. Absolutely amazing. But what I'm going to do now, I suppose, I'm not going to do a comparison, but I am going to stand him beside his 89 counterpart, the recent 2.0 89 counterpart. Actually, should I say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention that Hot Toys provide you with this empty cowl here, and I think a lot of people think that you can display this particular style with the unmasked sculpt holding this cowl in his hands, and it just can't be done, guys, because he has two bat emblems on. Now, it's inaccurate. Movie accuracy would be to have it stuck to the cowl, but Hot Toys have stuck it to the chest plate. I kind of understand why they done that. If you imagine that there without the bat emblem there, it's just going to be a tactical suit. But this particular one doesn't have it, as you can see there. It doesn't have the emblem, and that suit slides. Yeah, sorry, that cowl slides just behind it. But what Hot Toys have done here is given this little accessory. And you can see there that it is in the shape of a mouth plate. Now, I'm taking a punt here, guys, because I don't really know what it's for. But if I just take this face plate out here, if it'll cooperate with me. But I'm not sure why this item exists. But if I slide it in here, if I can get this to focus. No, let me just pop this in here anyway. And maybe there's a better chance of posing him holding it, maybe towards him or something like that. You won't see the eyes, and it makes it look more like an empty cowl. I'm just taking a stab in the dark here, guys. I really don't know why we got this little piece of plastic to fill this faceplate. I have no idea. It really, doesn't really make sense. But anyway, here we have the glider wings that come with him. Now, these are quite unique part of this figure because we've never had this before from a Keaton Batman. Anyway, I don't think we've had gliders from any Batman. Certainly not Keaton. But you can see here the attach here at the back here with these Velcro pieces and a couple of nubs, and then we have the Velcro where the bat bib goes over it. And in regard to opening them up, if you open it up by both together, you can see the plastic flexes. It's really, really flimsy plastic. So it is best to just open them out one at a time and just hold on to the plastic while you do it and be very careful while you do it. And you can see there, guys, that there is quite a wingspan. It is it's movie accurate. I do believe he had about that wingspan when he opens them up in the movie. So let's get it on here and see what it looks like. I'm not too keen on those new neck designs. Maybe I'll get used to them. I just find them a bit flimsy. But at the back here, you can see I've already taken the back panel off. That piece just usually just sits there, but I've taken that off. And you just line it up to the little knobs that stick out and try and pop it in. There we go. And then where's my piece of paper that I use for sliding? There we go. Just let me slide that in and slide this down into place and pull the paper out. And there we go. Now there is a little bit of excess material there, but let's get this head sculpt back on now. We'll see what this looks like all complete. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a big fan of those new pegs. They're just so hollow and flimsy. But now this is why that the parts of the cowl that I pointed out earlier on that were very rubbery and seemed like there was a reason for them to be rubbery. This is why, because it's so it's thicker. The cape is so those pieces have to be flexible for this particular um glider wings to go on. But yeah, quite an impressive wingspan on him there, and it's quite solid. It looks really, really nice. If I can get these to just pull up a little bit higher, if I can get this into frame, you can see if you pull it out, it does leave his body. It doesn't stay flush to his body. It does pull away. It looks amazing. You can't appreciate it the way I'm showing it to you guys in such a crude fashion, with such a tight frame here, but in hand it looks amazing. Just just anchoring them up like that and taking it away from his body and showing, it actually looks like there's wind under them. It looks amazing. I think I have to put them just a little bit further out for that to happen and stay that way. There we go. Um, yeah, it just looks like I'd love to find a way of hanging it, or maybe getting a flight pole or something and posing them in. I would be really tempted to pose them that way. It looks fantastic. I can't get over it. But yeah, that's about the best I can do in frame like that, guys. And I'll put up some pictures of him towards the end. But here we have him next to his recently 18 released 89 2.0, as they call it. Or yeah, you can see the height difference here. There is no height difference. The height is absolutely fantastic. Um, the proportions are better on the modern suit, way, way, way better. You can see he's a bit bulkier in the midsection on the 89, and the modern suit is way more tapered. But the modern suit, just looking at it, looks way more convincing that there's actually a body in there, that there's actually a human being in there. You can see with the older one there, it's just the rubber is so thick that it's way less convincing that there's actually a body in there. Where with the modern one, it just tapers to the body so much better and looks like there is a human in there. Just getting just putting the head sculpts next to each other, guys, and you can see I'm not doing a comparison, I'm just showing the evolution of the suit and the mask and the cowl, and how, looking at the modern suit, how you can see it is most definitely an evolution. It is not a redesign. It's not, a new design. It is absolutely an evolution. You can see where it sticks to his face more on the modern suit, which would be a proper evolution. It looks modern, compared to the older one. The texture was smoother, but the shapes are still all there. Those original shapes are still all there in that new mask, and I think it is fantastic. They couldn't have done a better job at modernizing the suit, if you ask me. They really couldn't have. They didn't overdo it. They didn't underdo it. And it's just absolutely fantastic. So, guys, I'm going to leave you with some images. Please do hit that like and subscribe if you like this kind of content and you do want to see some more. And yeah, take care. Thanks a lot for watching.